Okay, hello and welcome to Sliver Server 1. This is Travis. I'm doing a video today about a lens I just picked up from a camera show on the weekend. This is a lens I've been curious about for a long time. It's the Tamron SP Adaptall lens. It's the 35 to 210 3.5 to 4.2 lens. You can adapt them to a lot of different camera systems. It's a fairly fast lens, being 3.5 to 4.2 and fairly constant. That's why I was curious about it. It was that it's pretty fast, but the other reason why I was curious about it is because it is such a wide range. It's 35 to 210 for telephoto. You get some of those nowadays in a kit lens, but when you get them in the kit lens, you're not going to get them as low as 3.5 to 4.2. Usually it's upwards to 5.6 at the end of it. Normally you would put an adapter in here that goes to either your Pentax, Canon, Nikon, Konica, Olympus, all those old 80s to 90s film cameras. Okay, but what I did was I've gotten myself a adapter. Right. What would you want to do is you want to use the adapter that's on there to, say if you had a Pentax to Sony, okay? But what I did was I just got a straight up Tamron Adaptall mount to Sony next mount. So I got rid of most of the jiggle, you get most of the play. One thing, when you're getting an Adaptall Chinese mount, one of the cheap ones, you should put a piece of foam in this area here. I'll see how close I can get. See that foam? This is a piece of craft foam that has adhesive on one side. I just basically put it on this and cut it while it was off the camera, of course, but I cut it to fit on there because these lenses have a little roller that actuates the aperture. Okay, so what you do is line up this with this. See, there's a red dot. You'll line these up, push it in, and rotate. Sorry, the aperture went with me. So let's look at this lens here. Okay, it came with a lens cap. It's got a pretty large front end. Okay. We'll notice on this is there is a mount here. You can see the little bayonet teeth on it. There's a hood that I didn't get, but I would recommend getting it. It is what they call a one-touch focus zoom. One touch meaning that you can rotate it and zoom at the same time, which is very handy. I like the one touches a lot. It's kind of like a varifocal though. When you're looking at something you want to zoom out, you are going to go out of focus, okay? So that's the one disadvantage to most. One touch. With this lens, you see if you turn it this way, it's got a macro setting. So you line these up and pull like that. And the macro is only available from 50 to 35 millimeters, right? And it is really quite good. It says the best is 1 to 3.8, or basically 1 to 4. So it's pretty good for flowers and moss. It's not the best for bugs unless they're bigger. Let me show you how far away the focus is. I'll take my tape measure and right about there. This is how far away it'll go from your lens. Okay, so 4 inches or 10 centimeters is how far away it'll go from your lens. About 32 centimeters from your sensor. Okay, but that's not too bad. And it does give you a more wide open view of the background. Alright, so how does it handle? Like I said, it's got the one touch, so you can move quickly, but you have to refocus when you're doing that. At 3.5, it's pretty sharp. It's not the sharpest lens. The reason why it doesn't look too sharp is because it does suffer from chromatic aberration even when you're shooting away from the sun. It suffers quite greatly from chromatic aberration. Okay, so it doesn't seem to matter how far you close down, you'll still get chromatic aberration. But it's quite sharp at 3.5 all the way to 4.2 when you shoot at 200 millimeters. When you move it, this says 3.5, but your lens will be at 4.2. Okay, and you gotta make those adjustments as you go up. Is it better at 35 millimeters wide angle, or is it better at 210 telephoto? This lens is better at the wide end, and that usually goes for these things. They look sharper at the wide end. But at 210, it's really not too bad. You get some glowing, a little bit of glowing, and you get a little bit of softness, but it's not bad. You can shoot this at 3.5 and have fun with it. I like to shoot most of my lenses at 5.6 anyways, just because you get that extra sharpness, but you can manage it quite well in Lightroom with the sharpening tools that has, and get a picture that looks quite well. I've got a bunch in my samples afterwards. All right, so do not expect your images to be sharper, much higher than 16 or a half step up from 16, okay? Because you will see that there's a fair amount of diffraction. You can get these lenses really cheap. I picked this up for, I think, $35 or $25 from the camera show, and I think I'll probably use this one again if I just want to bring one lens out on a trip. It's not as good as my 35 to 80 Adaptall. That's the best zoom lens that I've used from Tamron, and it's not as good as my 60 to 300. That's the best telephoto I've used from Tamron Adaptall. I guess that's all. If you have any other questions about it, feel free to subscribe, comment, and enjoy the sample photos. I got quite a few. Oh, you know what? I'm going to tell you that the 200, if you're shooting 200, it's got a nice close 1.6 meters at 200. So you're going to get almost macro looking pictures from it at this. So you can feel free to take photos if you want to do macro at 1.6. It almost is as close as the going into macro mode. And again, this is macro mode. You pull out like that, okay? But at 200, it's quite close as well. All right. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe.